Hey, how's everybody doing? Let's take a look at some vintage Marx Toys Warriors of the World figures. So these figures were produced and sold in the United States in the late 50s, early 60s. Let's say like 1958 to 1964. Produced for the most part in Hong Kong and Taiwan at Marx factories there. It's sold for the most part in little boxes like this, like we've seen in the past video of this character, this figure, Richard Golden. But they were also sold in three-pack boxed small box sets that included three figures. And then they were also produced in Germany and Holland. So what we're going to do today is take a look at some comparisons between figures that we know were produced in Hong Kong or Taiwan, and then we'll compare them with figures that we know were produced in Germany or Holland. So, and then we'll also take a look at some repairs that I've made and how I make the repairs. And I have a number of figures here on the table that we'll look at today that are incomplete, that I have partial repairs done and they haven't been fully painted and such, like this figure that we're looking at first, Longbow. So this is an original card that came with this figure I'm holding, Longbow, and this, if you want to read that, you could pause this. This figure was produced in Hong Kong. Can't really fully see the mark, but this is the marking of and this is the Hong Kong figure. So it's got some damage. He's missing his feather, and you've got an example of seeing what the figure looks like. You can see that I replaced the top half of this bow that was broken off with a black plastic bow. Now let's take a look at a figure that I believe, let's look at the bottom of this. It's another Longbow figure, and he was made in Holland. All right. So let's look at the comparison. So the paint differences is evident. So one thing that they did in both the in Germany and the Holland is that they were molding the figures in a desired colored plastic to reduce paint applications. So you can see that this figure from Holland is molded in this brown color. It looks great. So there is our first look at some comparisons between the Hong Kong figure and a figure from Holland. These next two figures are this character named Slipping Bird. So one thing to keep in mind is that all of these figures are a hard plastic. Listen, they're hard plastic, and they're about 60 millimeters in height, so they're like a little bit bigger than your standard army men. And these figures remind me of that book in that movie, The Indian in the Cupboard. How I would describe it is that these figures are like they're like your own special little warriors or little army men that stand out above all the other ones that you have as a kid. So this figure is called Slipping Bird. We don't have any cards for him, but what we do have, we can see on the bottom of this one, is that Holland? It says Holland. And then this lot that I bought last week came with these odd bases. And what I'm finding is that the ones with these odd bases are turning out, I believe that these are from Germany. So look at the difference, huh? There's even a real noticeable difference between the German figure and the figure from Holland. Look at the difference in the molding. This guy's got this kind of this little hole in his solar plexus right there, and then this guy his face is really well defined, isn't it? Slipping Bird, made in Holland. Slipping bird. Unknown. Unknown for sure. Next figure we're looking at is called Laughing Feather. So we have a Hong Kong version and then a European version. So let's take a look at the Hong Kong version that we have, that we know because it says underneath here. I can't really see that well, but I'm pretty sure that that says Hong Kong. It's the circular marking that is consistent. And then also this whole lot is from Hong Kong. So this is Laughing Feather. His card, if you want to read it. He's missing his weapons. And this is a beautifully painted figure. Look at that, masterfully painted, isn't it? Then let's look at this other one. Once again, he's molded in this color, and it's clearly marked Holland. Let's take a look at the differences or similarities. Now, it's possible that a number of these Indians came together as a set, like three Native Americans, and then there were like sets of 3 cowboys, sets of 3 soldiers, that sort of thing. Or they could have been boxed singly. This is High Wolf. This is the only figure that I have of this character. He's got an amputation and he's missing a dagger. Even though the paint apps are sparse, they are well done. And these figures, when you set them up, which we will here eventually, when we set these up in Fort Apache, they will really jump out at you and show you the difference in the quality of these figures. This is Strong Eagle. This is made in Hong Kong. You can note that by the color of the skin and also the feather. His feather matches another figure that we looked at. Wouldn't surprise me if that was something that they were doing in the set. This is a beautifully painted figure, you guys. Look at this. Little damage to the base there. All right, now one thing to keep in mind that we'll talk about is that in addition to using these molds to make these hard plastic figures that we're looking at, Marx also used the same mold to make soft plastic figures that are like army men, or maybe even a little softer. So this character is called Black Kettle, and there is a Warrior of the World figure that is just like these guys that we're looking at, that is Black Kettle, right? But I don't have it. Instead, I have the soft version. All these other figures as well, pretty sure just about all of them were produced in this same manner that I'm holding in my hand. Sometimes in a yellow and sometimes in a cream that I've found in my experience in my collecting. So this is Black Kettle. In the soft kind of vinyl-y plastic. It's hard to describe. It's like a vinyl. Let's look at a couple pirates next. So we'll start with this Captain Greaves figure that we've looked at before. I made a video about him previously. I fixed his sword right there. He's got the parrot on the shoulder. Beautiful figure. This is a figure, and this is a figure made in Hong Kong. And this is a figure that arrived recently. That is another pirate figure, and his name is Steve Bonnet. Now, there's no, we can't actually see the true marking because it has this strange base that I've been showing you already that a lot of these figures came glued with. So we can make the assumption, and it's not even an assumption, it's true to fact, that the figures made in Hong Kong and Taiwan were painted with a glossy enamel-based paint, and the figures made in Germany and Holland were painted in a flat paint. See the notice the difference right off the bat? Yeah, so that's the big difference. So this guy's from Holland or Germany, and this guy's from Hong Kong or Taiwan, but I'm pretty sure it's Hong Kong. So you can tell by the paint. Speaking of telling by the paint, here's an interesting one. So this isn't a Warriors of the World figure surprise. It's Wimpy from Popeye. This was produced in the 50s, more like the mid-50s, before these figures we're looking at. But he was made in Germany, and one of the things to note is that he is painted in that flat paint, not the glossy enamel. Let's take a look at this figure and this character named Jack Strait. This cowboy right here. The original card. There is his story. And now let's look at the figure that came with that card. This is the figure that came with that card. This is Jack Strait, and he was made in Hong Kong. And this is another Jack Strait, and he was made in Germany or Holland, but I believe Germany. I'm not sure though. See the difference? Not only in the colors, but in the glossiness of the paint. Let's take a look at a difference here between figures that we've already looked at. We looked at this Richard Golden figure last month or something, and this figure is named Bill Mason, and he was made in Germany. And look at the difference in the color and also the glossiness versus the flat. The glossy from the Asian factories and the flat from the European factories. And only a couple more. Let's look at this guy because I exacted a repair on him. And this is something interesting, I think. So these are two figures that came in that lot from last week. I fixed this gun on this one. I haven't done anything to this one. I think this is Germany. And I think this is Holland. I can't really see. Maybe it's Germany as well. I don't know. Anyway, it's all becoming a blur to me at this point. All right. Let's look at this last one because I just like this figure so much. So this is my Flip Marbles figure. And that name is amazing, isn't it? Flip Marbles. So he came with his arm completely broken off, his left arm. Right? So I exacted a repair. I just haven't painted it, and I just left it so that I could show you guys some of the stuff that you can do. Kind of altered his pose a little bit. I like it, and I'll paint it eventually. Flip Marbles. Isn't that name great? He's got a good story. He was wounded in Salerno and won a Purple Heart. Oh, Nelly. Okay. Thanks so much for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. We took a look at some figures, some Marx Warriors of the World figures that were produced all over the world. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you guys later.